Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Two Asian Blokes Podcast. Podcast where we talk about Asian pop culture, films, TV shows, comic books, anime, video games, music, food, whatever we're feeling at the time, really. My name is Dan with Hate, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Tavi. Hi, Tavi.
Hey, Dan. We're being joined again by Boone.
Hey, Boone.
Yep.
This episode.
Yes, I'm back. Unfortunately,
Welcome.
Jokes on you guys.
Yeah, it's another kind of random episode, but we're covering Bullet Train, which you and I watched together, which would have been last week.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we caught it on the day after it came out.
It came out on a Thursday, and we had a fair few drinks before going into this movie.
Nice.
Yeah,
fair few bottles of soju.
Thankfully, in hindsight.
So we're going to talk about this movie, probably non-spoilers first, and we'll drop a spoiler warning before we start spoiling it.
Yeah.
Were you guys looking forward to this film? I feel like it's been delayed or something, right?
Yeah, well, it was shot during COVID.
Okay,
so
that makes sense.
There's a lot of, and you can kind of tell that it was shot during COVID. I was initially excited to see this movie, like when I first saw the trailers, like way back at the start of the year. And I linked the trailer to Boone. I'm like, oh, this looks fun.
Yeah,
because I
remember that.
I do like on occasion the neon Tokyo look.
Right.
You know,
so something like Kate that
like Kate,
we reviewed in our first episode.
Yeah. That's nearly like a year ago. So.
Almost a year ago, yeah.
Yeah. But what was your initial reaction to this film?
It kind of came out of nowhere for me. I think I only started seeing trailers for it like maybe earlier this year, and I was like, that's pretty random. But yeah, looks like fun. Why not?
Yeah. I think
I like Japanese stuff as well, so I'm pretty excited to see what they would
Japanese
do with it.
Stuff.
But yeah, I didn't really know that much about the production itself, other than it had Brad Pitt on a bullet train. But yeah, I watched it the day it came out. Not really because I was like really anticipating it, just because I wanted something to watch, and this was on.
Yep. There's not much. There's not much else on really at the moment, sadly.
Yeah, you're right. There isn't. No.
So you guys didn't enjoy this film, hey?
No.
Upset.
I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah. I think, Tavi, you've actually read the novel before, whereas I didn't even know it was an adapted kind of screenplay or anything. And when I saw the trailer initially, I think I kind of in the same boat as you, Dan. I thought it looked pretty fun. It did seem a little bit odd to me to see, I guess, like Brad Pitt, who's normally in kind of these, I guess, Oscar bait movies that are quote unquote quite highbrow, quote unquote.
Not always, though.
Yeah, not always, not always. But I guess
he made an appearance recently in Lost City. Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum.
That's true. Yeah. Maybe it's a sign of the times, right? He's like pretty old now, and he might not give a shit anymore.
Might just want a paycheck from time to time.
I feel like this movie was a paycheck movie.
I feel like this movie was a paycheck movie for a bunch of people. But I guess we'll get into it. We'll just give a brief synopsis of the plot before we get into our thoughts on the film. So it's Brad Pitt. He's some kind of he's not a hitman. He's like a guy for hire if you need something like criminal done. So transporting a bag or a person, or I think he mentions in the film that he doesn't really like to take jobs that involve killing. But he'll definitely do some shady stuff. So,
but he can fight, right? He can fight, and he can do all that kind of.
He's a skilled professional.
Well, he's supposed to just be an assassin, but that's not really made clear in the movie. But like
his codename is Ladybug.
Ladybug. Yeah.
So he gets on this train to do a job. and he gets embroiled in a bunch of antics that also involve assassins that are on the train for different purposes. So it's kind of like a farcical story that kind of like devolves into chaos eventually. With all of these assassins on the same train, and they're getting in each other's way, and like things are going wrong with their various plans, and but that's pretty much it. Is Brad Pitt on a train for 2 hours, right?
It's pretty like simple, like a pretty simple movie. Like taking it back a bit, when I said initially I was pretty receptive to the trailer. I was like, yeah, like this movie looks fun. You know, I like Brad Pitt. I like Aaron Taylor Johnson. I like Hiroyuki Sanada. So I'm like, yeah, you know, it seems all right. It was only when I was in Sydney with you, Dan, we're hanging out at Kinokuniya.
Yeah.
And I saw the novel like hanging out there. And I was like, Bullet Train's a book? Like, I was like, how can this be a novel? It just looks like 2 hours of people like fighting and shooting each other.
Yeah, not only is it a book, it's a book written by a Japanese person.
Yes, called Kotaro Isaka.
Yes.
Oh, right. So it's not called a bullet train, no?
It's actually the original title is Maria Pito. Named after Sandra Bullock's character.
Right.
Oh, that's a spoiler, Tavi.
It's not really a spoiler.
Well, Brad Pitt's character's handler.
Do you think it'd be called like
Maria.
Shinkansen or something, right?
Yeah, no, they changed it to just Bullet Train because like Maria Beetle's probably not as bankable. And it actually kind of makes sense because it's not really about Maria Beetle anyway. So I didn't mind it calling it Bullet Train because that's what it is. You know, it's a thriller set on a bullet train, whilst the movie is an action comedy set on a bullet train.
So you read the book before you watched the movie, Tavi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I read the book after I watched the movie.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting because, like, I mean...
It's pretty different. It's very similar.
It's very different.
But also very different.
It's, like, my biggest concern... And I kind of knew it was going to happen because this movie is marketed as like, you know, a blockbuster in a sense. Like, it's supposed to be a crowd pleaser. Yeah. Because like the novel is definitely more on the thriller side of things. Like, when I read the book, I imagined a kind of like Takashi Mika view or, do you remember that movie, Dan, The World of Kanako?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like I envision like this much darker, grittier tone of story with like humorous elements in it. And like if you've watched enough like Japanese media or read or, you know, consume a lot of their like entertainment, they tend to be more on the philosophical side of things. And the book definitely read like that. It read kind of like an anime as well. So I thought, you know, this is a pretty cool book.
When I was reading it, it reminded me a lot of that anime Bakano that is also set on a train. Like there is a lot more, obviously because it's a book, there's a lot more internal monologue and a lot less action than there is in the movie. Just because, you know, it's a bit easier to write internal monologue rather than action, and vice versa. It's a lot easier to do action than internal monologue in a film. Yep. So I think, you know, the two products, the book and the film, are very different. The characterization, I guess, as well is pretty different considering all the actors they used in the film.
Like, look, this has been like a controversy that has surrounded the film, is the whitewashing, you know.
So all the characters in the book, although not explicitly stated, they are Japanese characters for the most part. Like Brad Pitt's character in the book is named Nanao, which is a Japanese name. I mean, Lemon and Tangerine are still Lemon and Tangerine code names. So you don't know for sure whether they're Japanese or not. So, I mean, like the author of the book has said that he doesn't mind the whitewashing. He says that, these are fictional characters and not explicitly stated as Japanese. So he was okay with the changes being made.
He's probably just glad that he's getting a portion of the royalties, right?
That's exactly what he said, basically. He's happy that it was it was made into a Hollywood film. And, that's fair, I think. Like, if you're proud of this work and you want a bunch of people to see it, in some form,
I don't think people saw his vision, though. Because it's not.
I mean, it's not exactly the same, but
no, I think
it follows the plot pretty closely.
The plot is the same, but it's a completely different feel.
When was this book written? Right, like
2010.
2010, yeah. So 10 years ago. I mean, like I hadn't heard of it. You two hadn't heard of it before either. And now it's been made.
And now
into
we both read it.
Yeah, now you've both read it.
Movie.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think like the way he was looking at it was probably as a win-win, really. Like it was just, I guess, probably a passion project for him at the time that he did, and he may or may not have been super happy with it once it was done. But they ended up making a Hollywood blockbuster about it, and with the Brad Pitt of all people
Japanese
as well.
People love Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
so I'm sure he's pretty stoked about it.
Yeah. So I mean, like, it sounds like he doesn't really care that much.
Yeah, and if he's okay with it, then who are we to say that it's wrong?
Exactly.
Well, I'm going to be that person because...
Go ahead, Tavian. Yeah.
Because, I'm happy for him that his book is getting exposure. And I doubt the people that have watched this movie are going to give a fuck about who Kotaro Isaka is, because it's, a largely Western audience. But the thing is, the characters are whitewashed, but it's whitewashed in more ways than just their skin color. It's like you've gotten a glass of Japanese Yamazaki, a really fine distilled glass. This is a really nice glass of whiskey. And then somebody comes in and pours Coke in it, and then tips it in the garden, and then just pours you Coke. That's what this movie is. And it's not just whitewash. It's whitewash. It's Latino wash. It's black wash. I feel like the dude. And I don't mind David Leitch's stuff. I like the Deadpool movies, and I like his contribution to the John Wick series, which I'm sure actually was inspired by Kotaro Isaka's works, because the novel read this. There's this kind of world of assassins, which you don't really get in the movie. But there's two moments in this film which are kind of a bit spoilerish, that kind of illustrate my view on what the guy did to this movie. I don't know why he tried to get rid of so many Japanese elements in the movie, except for the neon lit Tokyo, because it's a very Western view of looking at Tokyo.
And you're talking about they're putting in things like robot toilets, anime characters,
and just I don't know how to use toilets. What Japan's a wacky place.
Even the music is just Japanese covers of Western songs.
Yeah, for sure. That was super unnecessary. That was an awesome opportunity to actually play Japanese music,
cool. Yeah, you mentioned Kate before, Dan. At least actually Kate wasn't that well received by Japanese people, but I'm going to say on the filmmakers' part, at least they tried to incorporate, Japanese culture and Japanese actors per se, and Japanese music. They tried to do that. In this movie, it's just I just want to make the Tokyo setting, which would have cost way more because this film was not shot in Tokyo at all. It was shot
in an LA soundstage.
In an LA soundstage. So it would have cost them a shit ton of money. 90 million. I'm just having a look at the budget according to Wikipedia. That's a fucking ton of money.
Yeah, but that's all going to the cast, right?
yeah.
Because like you said, it is a star-studded
all-star
cast.
All-star cast.
I don't know. I think we're pushing it with the all-star cast. It's got Brad Pitt and it's got Sandra Bullock in it for a little bit. And everybody else is probably what you would call I don't know, second tier. Not B-list.
Yeah, I guess, Aaron Taylor
like,
Johnson, Joey King, Hiroyuki Sanada.
I love Hiroyuki Sanada.
Channing Tatum, Michael Shannon.
But
I don't like what they did with Joey King's love Prince.
I will
find him.
Brian Tyree Henry, he was in Eternals. There you go.
Yeah. It's got Karen Fukuhara from The Boys in it as well. Who's
I guess the amount of names in it is probably where the money went, right? Like, they might not all be A-listers, but they're still like, there's a lot of them. I
do want to make a mention of Karen Fukuhara's character later.
I know what you want to say about that character. It's got that guy from Hero as well playing the.
True.
But I think I know what you mean, Tavi, in that like it's not just the cast that's catering towards the more Western audience, but it is like a watering down of the themes as well from the novel. But I guess like I'm trying to judge the movie just like on its own merit, like the book aside, I guess. I guess the tone that they were going for Bullet Train, the movie, is more of like a, it's more upbeat than the book. It's more of like a fast-paced, just action comedy kind of thing, like a Deadpool 2, I guess,
I felt like it was more of a comedy, to be honest, than an action movie. It felt more like that to me. I mean, like, every time Brad Pitt spoke, it was pretty much a one-liner. It felt like that. I couldn't really take him super seriously because his character was pretty much, very much a comedic character in this movie.
And to be honest, I think I enjoyed Brad Pitt's characterization of that character than the one in the novel. Because the one in the novel, he's kind of just a whiny, unlucky guy. But
he's not really the focus.
He's
as
not the
much
focus.
In the novel.
That's true.
The focus is on Prince. I think Kimura and the Prince, which they absolutely destroyed in the movie.
They do make them secondary characters in the film.
Like, you have no idea who Kimura is in the novel. Like, you don't. He's supposed to be an assassin, but did you get that from the film?
From the film, no. He's just a shaky dude. You don't even get the sense that he's an alcoholic in the film, which is a huge part of the novel.
He's just that guy.
He's also not full Japanese either. Well, his dad and
Andrew Koji.
Yeah, well, he kind of looks more Caucasian than Asian to me, which is kind of weird, even though he's playing like a full Japanese character. And I know that, I mean, his surname is Koji, so he's obviously part Japanese at the very least. But I don't know, he came off, when I first saw him on the screen, I didn't realize he was a Japanese character.
I don't want to discredit like half Japanese, half other ethnicities, they're valid in their identities as Japanese, but like it's also like I think it's Hollywood's like we kind of want to cast an Asian but not really because going for my Resident Evil rant where like Hollywood just does not like casting Asians.
But I don't think Koji himself was an issue. I think his performance was fine with what he had to work with. It's just that they didn't really write a character for him. They wrote a man that was just a bit shaky.
So he's like, oh, you threw my son off the roof to Joey King. He's just a Brit. Like it just doesn't make sense. Like I don't like in other medias where they will just change someone's race for the sake of it. So I don't like Asianwashing either. There was that comic last year that came out called Gotham High, which is basically a Batman story, but with Crazy Rich Asians. And like that was a dumb idea, and people railed on that. But like you can change a setting and you can make it good. I think like The Departed is one of my favorite gangster movies, and that's a remake of Infernal Affairs. And it's one of the few remakes that I actually like more than the original, which is like a big call for me, like knowing the movies that I like. So if this movie was not on a bullet train and it didn't have, like, you'd save money because you wouldn't need to build Tokyo on a soundstage. But like to have this many white characters on a bullet train in Japan, it's like, it's odd, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You and I
mean,
we've all called the Shinkansen a fair few times.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's mostly Japanese people.
Sure, but it's odd. But they're there for a purpose. Like
they're there to sell tickets.
The narrative puts them there, right? Because they're all assassins from different, areas, and they're all there to do a different job. So it kind of makes sense that they're all there.
Yeah, and they all work all over.
Make sense.
They all work all over the world, right?
That's right. Like they're international assassins.
Yeah.
So, okay. Then assassins aside, the woman that tells them to shut up, she's just suddenly white.
True.
So the gangsters, kind of spoiler. There's a gangster battle, and all the gangsters white or black. Like you see these quips about bombs, so they're just like not Japanese for some reason.
I think probably that's the one that I had the main issue with, is the main antagonist being Michael Shannon.
It's just like
that is very implausible for like this guy to become like the head of like the Yakuza in Japan. Doesn't seem very likely.
But he's called the White Death, right? So doesn't it imply that he is a Caucasian person?
But
he's Russian.
He's Russian.
Yeah.
But he's a fabricated character, so he's not in the novel.
Right.
In the book, it's just it's just a Japanese guy.
I see. Okay, so he's not really a main character or a character at all in the novel. So that makes a big difference. Whereas I guess he's pretty essential to the plot in Bullet Train, you'd think.
Well, there is a character. Well, in the novel, the guy the White Death kills is the main antagonist, I guess.
Yeah,
So
sure.
They just created a new character for Michael Shannon to play.
Yeah,
I guess they had Michael Shannon in the wings.
I will cast him.
That's one of the like one of the metaphors for the movie is like, Japanese character killed by the white guy in the place. That's this movie.
But I mean, all that aside, I feel like the cast is fine. I think they're doing okay.
They actually do all right.
I didn't mind that I liked Lemon and Tangerine's banter in it. I think making them Cockney was pretty fun.
I like their character. I would have liked a little bit more Dostoevsky references. Right. That's like a quintessential
he does
Japanese
one in the movie, right? Or something.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
Just backtracking to what you guys were saying about the Neo Tokyo thing before. I guess when you see that Neo Tokyo kind of aesthetic or those motifs in movies, it's usually just like a part of the movie or like a scene in the movie. But when you in Bullet Train, it's pretty much the whole movie was packaged around this theme, right? Because if you go back to, I guess, I don't know, if you mentioned John Wick before, there are some Neo Tokyo kind of scenes and references in that franchise all over the place, but it doesn't come off as, I don't know, forced or like tacky at all at any point.
Dude, John Wick is like set in New York, and they've casted more Asians in that movie than they have this movie that's set in Japan.
But I mean, like the Neo Tokyo thing is nothing new, right? Like it's been in tons of movies. Like it's been in Blade Runner, the new Blade Runner. It's in it for a little
as
bit.
An aesthetic.
It's
quite established in cinema.
And it's brief, right? Like you get a taste of it for parts of the movie. But I think maybe the fact that it was the whole movie on this occasion was a little, I don't know, maybe jarring, or like it did come off as a bit tacky to me. Even in the trailer, to be honest, that's kind of one of the things that I wasn't sure about after watching the trailer, because I'm like, ooh, this looks cool, because I do like, the Neo Tokyo thing, but like it looked a bit forced after watching the trailer. So when you guys
say Neo Tokyo, you're talking about the train interior?
I think
I'm talking about like the city, like the neon lit streets, just the really bright, saturated, almost like fluorescent lights.
Yeah, but they're on a train for most of the movie, aren't they?
Yeah, no,
but
you
don't actually see that much.
But they go into the carriages when like there's the mascot and it's like really blue, and you can see bits and pieces of it outside. Just like
Brad Pitt's walking through Tokyo at the start of the movie as well, and it's obviously it doesn't look. Yeah, it looks very kind of green screeny. So I guess the Neo Tokyo thing is kind of a newer modern term, I suppose, but it's kind of tied into that whole cyberpunk movement, isn't it, Tavi?
I'd say so.
I mean, I guess like if they were going for realism, like a Shinkansen is pretty boring to look at.
Yeah.
You know, the inside of a Shinkansen is just like a train, right? But I think because they only built 2 cars apparently for this film, and then they just like did set dressing to make the cars kind of look different. The production designer wasn't going for realism. He wanted to make the cars more distinct so that the audience was able to track movement a bit easier. Because, you know, if you've just got all the cars looking the same, then it's a bit harder to know where everybody is. So that's why like he kind of designed some cars to look like a mascot car, and one car looks like a high-class dining car. But like, in reality, it would just all be the same.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've actually taken the Shinkansen from Tokyo to Kyoto before. I don't remember.
Didn't we go from Tokyo to Fukuoka?
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
Oh, yeah, we may have.
That was like a 6-hour trip.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like this movie.
It was shit.
And you're in a tunnel for a lot of it, so you don't even see it.
It was shit. It was shit. I remember that.
I fell asleep. I was just asleep. I was like, no, because it was like winter, and like there was really like nice, pristine, like snowy fields. Like, this is fucking awesome.
That's true. That's funny because I fell asleep. Well, not gonna lie, I fell asleep through this bullet train too. For about 5 minutes.
You told me that you fell asleep during this movie.
Which is
the middle section.
Which is really quite a blight on this movie, considering it's a comedy action movie.
Yeah, it's definitely not the type of movie that they want you falling asleep in. They're trying to make the pace quite brisk, right? They're adding lots of quips.
This movie is content. Like, it's designed to be consumed and then forgotten about. Which is like, you know, that's fine. You can do whatever you want to do. But I think this movie, taking out all like the seriousness of it, like they can make an action comedy, but it's basically been Marvel-fied, you know? Like, I didn't feel the weight of some of the more serious moments because like I felt like none of the characters really cared in the movie. And like I didn't feel like any weight of threat. I mean, I guess I can't really go much more into that without spoilers.
Yeah, I think what you're trying to say is that, I guess with this movie, right, like you mentioned that they set up kind of like a universe of assassins similar to John Wick. But with the John Wick franchise, they've already done 3 movies, right, with the 4th one coming up. So they've kind of had time to build this universe of assassins that's kind of evolved from movie to movie. Whereas with Bullet Train, it's kind of like, okay, you've got this universe, but they never really had time or they haven't really built it. You kind of just you kind of just go in and like, okay, this is the situation. Maybe that's why you don't feel the same kind of attachment to it, or maybe it didn't feel quite as organic.
It's definitely a lot of the Japanese sentiments that I enjoyed from the novel. There's a lot of like philosophical meanderings. You know, the novel is about like the, you know, moral gray line that these people walk in, and whether like, you know, killing someone is right or wrong. And it's, I'm just going to give a spoiler warning here. So,
well, I mean, maybe we'll just get into spoilers. But just I guess your opinion, Tavi, is you hate this film. Boone's opinion is it's pretty bad. And my opinion is it's okay. It's fine. I think it's a bit of fun. Does that about sum it up?
I think that's pretty accurate.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I think if somebody asked,
it seems like your opinion. I think your opinion has changed since we last saw it, Boone. Because you said it was like not great, but you said you had fun. But now it's just like it's bad.
Oh, I think my opinion was that it's bad, but it is fun. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing I don't think there's any really disputing the fact that it's fun, considering the humor and the action, and I guess the budget. They've kind of made it look, I don't know. They've kind of gone for a look, and you can say they've probably nailed what the director's vision was. Sure. So
probably.
It is somewhat forgettable. I think it's probably a movie that you're just gonna, like Tavi said, watch and forget about pretty quickly. Which, I mean, based on because of what it's based on, that's probably a bit of a shame, to be honest. But as a movie in itself, I think it's fine. It's what it is. What it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on this podcast called Two Asian Blokes, right? And we're reviewing this movie, but it's almost as if it could have been set anywhere. And it may, I think I said this to you
It could have been called the TGV.
Yeah, the TGV.
The V-Line Express.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's got to get to Geelong soon.
Yeah. The V-Line.
The V-Line. Yeah. Like the Prince is like a chav.
Yeah.
Not a chav. What were those, like an esche?
Oh, you got your...
Oh, yeah, open the fucking briefcase you can. Just flip through it, Yeah, lad.
No, I think I said this to you after watching it, Tavi. I'm like, this may have been better if it wasn't set in Japan. If this was set,
I think so.
If this was set on I don't know, a train in Europe or in the subway, it may have actually been better.
Do you think anyone would have watched it if it wasn't set in Japan?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
people watch
for
Taking
sure.
Out Pelham. People watch
Didn't seem like
the
a
20 Liam Neeson movies that are set on planes and trains.
I watched one of them and it was actually all right. I think I watched non-stop. I was like, this is not bad.
I thought it was Unstoppable. Is it non-stop or Unstoppable?
I think it was non-stop.
Oh, actually are they both movies with Liam Neeson
Possibly.
on
I
trains?
get Liam Neeson movies and Jason Statham movies confused sometimes.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because they're always just one word, and all of the posters are the same.
Wasn't it pretty much like Speed, but on a train, as in the Keanu Reeves 90s movie Speed?
Yeah.
On a train?
I mean,
that probably exists.
Do you remember Taking Out Pelham?
Yeah, Taking Out Pelham.
Taking Out Pelham.
That was a great movie. It was a fun movie.
Yeah, that was a fun movie.
Right.
There is a
Money
film
Train with Wesley Snipes.
There's a movie set on a European liner called Trans-Siberian, which is quite good.
Yeah,
back in 2007.
The end of the first Mission Impossible film is set on the TGV.
Yeah. There's also Train to Busan, which is
Train to Busan.
which is an awesome movie.
I mean, this movie does not even compare to Train to Busan.
It's really not in the same
So
league.
I mean, I don't think anyone's disputing that a train is a good setting for a movie. But perhaps maybe underutilized in this film, as was the Tokyo setting.
Yeah, maybe packaged incorrectly, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. This might be a big call, but it may not have been the right type of novel to adapt into a Hollywood movie. Who knows?
Could be.
I mean, just don't set it in Tokyo, and then you can have your Americans do whatever American things, and you can have all your Latinos and black assassins and whatever, man. That's fine. You can have your British schoolgirl, being just a really lame tie-in to the climax of the movie, which is just basically. What I'm getting at here is this is spoiler territory now.
Oh, okay. Let's drop the spoiler warning, guys. If you haven't seen it and you want to stop listening to this now, go watch it and come back to us to hear more complaining.
Yeah, hear more complaining.
Yeah, to hear more Tavi.
On my fourth or fifth glass of wine at the moment.
Go ahead, Tavi.
So the prince in the novel is not a killer, is not an assassin in the same world, but a really evil school kid.
Just a little sociopath.
He's a really little and there's points in the novel where and it happened in the movie where the prince's life is at threat, and you want the person who's holding the prince at his life to kill this little motherfucker so bad, because this kid, he's he gets his gang of kids. He doesn't do anything himself, but he has these kids who are really scared of him. So he's got this gang of kids, and they basically he makes one of his kids torture his own dog with a defibrillator, You know, he pushes
Your
Wataru
typical
off.
Japanese school experience.
Yeah, but like the way that the kid is portrayed is like he's very like manipulative with his emotions. Like he's like an evil little shit, and he's the one that actually gets the best of Lemon. You know, he kills Lemon.
I mean, it plays out the same though. Like Lemon is going to deal with him, but then he goes unconscious because of the bottle of water that's been drugged. But yeah, like because a lot of the internal monologue you get in the novel comes from Prince's character, and it does amount to like, everybody is stupid, everybody is worthless, I'm the smartest person in the world, like everything is my plaything. To be honest, it got a little bit tiresome for me.
But like the thing is, it's like in this novel full of assassins, it is a kid who has actually never killed anyone, who is the most on the morally wrong side of things. You know, he's actually the bigger threat than anyone else in the novel. And I think that's pretty interesting. And like Kimura, he's an alcoholic. He's a former assassin, but then he became a security guard. And like they show the relationship between like him and the son, you know. And I know, like, I think I was talking to you before, like, oh, they may not have had enough time to like show it, but like, you know, add a little bit of weight to your characters, you know. Like I have no idea who Kimura is in the film. And because the film is so light, it just, there's nothing, like, I don't care about Wataru in the hospital. Like, he gets choked out. That's bad luck. Like, you know, but in the novel, it's like you don't know whether or not he actually has an assassin, because I think in the film it's like, yeah, I've got a dude looking over your son, and it's confirmed in a flashback. But like in the novel, it's like you don't know whether the prince is just talking shit. It's interesting, and there's like this kind of dynamic between the prince and Kimura, because Kimura actually like helps the prince out, like does whatever the prince says because of this thing that is like dangling in front of him.
Sure.
And it's just like,
yeah, all of those character
better.
interactions between Kimura and the prince were severely underplayed in the movie. I think it comes down to that thing before of like, internal monologue is very hard to do in a movie. You can't really do it.
Yeah, they use flashbacks instead of, I suppose, internal monologue, which, I don't know, is kind of good and bad.
It can slow down a film for sure, and in this kind of film you can't really slow it down because like the pacing is pretty important. It's very important for it to be brisk, otherwise like people like Boone will fall asleep.
But I think it's because the pace, it doesn't even really escalate until the end. I don't know. I felt like it's just the same throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, I think from the start to the end, it was pretty one pace, but admittedly it was a high pace. But I think, I don't know, the reason why I probably dozed off for a bit was the fact that I felt no attachment to any of the characters in the film. I mean, like, the way you guys are talking about the novel, right? You're talking quite passionately about the prince and Kimura's characters, about how they were doing this and that in the novel. Whereas when I was watching the movie, I felt very little for any of the characters. You mentioned the humor between Tangerine and Lemon Dan. I guess that was entertaining, but at the same time, it did feel like a cheap Guy Ritchie kind of knockoff at the same time. And I was thinking about this. I feel like that's because the Lock, Stock movies and, you know, Snatched and stuff, they're actually set in, like, I don't know, a city and in Scotland or in the UK or wherever it is. And because of that, the humor kind of is more believable and maybe it hits harder. It
feels more organic.
It does feel, yeah, exactly. It's way more organic. Whereas in this, it was, as Tavi mentioned, it was like these two Cockney, interracial brothers are thrusted into Tokyo and then pretty much just cracking gags the whole time, which were occasionally funny, but it did feel a little bit forced to me. But at the same time, they were probably the two most entertaining characters.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. I think they were likable enough to feel like a little bit of sadness when Lemon gets shot and you think he's dead.
That is probably the saddest moment.
Yeah, I mean, like, if they actually followed through with that, which they didn't, only Tangerine dies because, like, killing white people is okay. But, like, yeah, like, in the novel, they both die, and there's no suddenly I come back to life. Like, they're D-E-D, deed. You know? They're not coming because...
Tangerine gets his neck snapped.
Yeah, he gets his neck snapped by...
gets shot in the head.
But the thing is, when I was talking about Takashi Mika before, the reason I see his style in this novel is because Takashi Mika is really good at building up characters leading to unresolved or disappointing arcs, but like in a very entertaining way. Because when I was reading the novel, I felt like, oh shit, like, you know, Nanau's going to team up with Lemon and Tangerine and they're going to go and have a massive shootout with Minagishi. But then Tangerine is just dead. I'm like, oh, shit. Okay. And then there's the bit where Tangerine, he's about to shoot the prince. And then you're like, oh my God, he's going to fucking kill him. And then Nanao comes in and snaps his neck. And I was like, oh, right. Because, like, Nanao is trying to get them to be an ally to him because he's like, all he wants to do is just get off the train. And I think there's a bit where Brad Pitt says in the movie he just wants to get off. But there's no, like, establishing point or acknowledgement of why he wants to get off in the movie. He's just like, oh, I want to get off.
Yeah. It's the same, right? He just wants to opt out at that point because
he doesn't get that phone call from Sandra Bullock saying like you can just quit if you want to. Because in the novel she's like, you know, like, I mean, you can just leave but she's kind of joking with him. But then he's just like, oh, okay, I'm actually going to take that literally and try to get off the train, which is actually really funny. And then. I don't remember what happens in the novel to why he stays on the train, but he like just because he surrenders the briefcase to the conductor, which is a pretty funny moment in the book because he's just like, nah, I just want to get out of here. Like, I just want to live. Like, I don't want to snap any more people's necks. I just want to get off this train.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I kind of liked the whininess. But then he's just kind of like just forced to go back. He's like, oh, all right. Which probably doesn't work for a lead, but he's not really the lead in the book. Whereas I think it's Kimura is more the lead. But his arc is surprisingly cut short as well. Because he gets shot, but you think he's dead, but then he's not. And then he doesn't really... There's no big action climax.
Yeah, that's a crucial difference between the book and the film. The film, like, there's explosions at the end, the train's going off the rails at the end, there's Michael Shannon having a sword fight with Sanada. And it's like, none of that happens in the book. But a lot happens at the end of the movie. I think that's typical of this kind of movie, though, right?
Yeah, they may have spent probably 90% of their special effects budget on the last 20 minutes.
The last 20 minutes,
Yeah, so just in the interest of, I guess, the people who haven't read the novel, Dan, like, you read it after, obviously, yeah? Did you feel like you enjoyed the movie less or more after reading the novel?
I understood why the changes were made after reading the novel.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, a novel is quite different to a movie. And, like, this type of movie as well, like what they were going for with this movie, a lot of the stuff in this book wouldn't fit totally. Like we've said in the past, like anime can kind of get away with random tonal shifts. Like you can have like cutesy shit in amidst all of the murder. But in like a Hollywood movie, especially, you can't really get away with that kind of stuff. It'll just leave the audience confused as to how they would feel, which I know, Tavi, you think is wrong. Like, like you should just do whatever and let the audience feel how they feel, you know? But like, I totally understand the director's choices in changing the content of the book. And even like, I appreciated some little things. Like you wanted to talk about Karen Fukuhara's
Fukuhara's character.
So
that's, go on.
In the book, the Hornet the assassin that kills people with needles. Yeah.
Yep.
She's actually two people. The cabin attendant and the train conductor. So Karen Fukuhara's character and that guy from Hero, whose name I always forget, would be the Hornet in the novel.
Okay, that's weird.
So I kind of understand like why he casted those two particular actors, because they are recognizable faces. And for anybody reading the novel and watching the movie, they might think, oh, okay, because these characters are recognizable, then yeah, maybe they're going to be the Hornet in the end of the film. But then it takes a left turn and it ends up being Zazie Beetz in a mascot costume. So,
but it's retarded though. Like, why not just have the two actual recognizable Japanese people in the movie be relevant? You know,
I assumed it was because, you know, if somebody had read the book and then gone to watch the movie, you know, it's a bit of a curveball, like subverting their expectations.
But it's just getting rid of the Japanese actors again.
I mean, they're in there still. They're doing stuff.
They just like
they just don't get to have a brief fight scene with Brad Pitt.
They just toss aside. But like Karen Fukuhara and Masioka, I don't know who Zazie Beetz is, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. But like, they're both Japanese actors and they're both recognizable. They've both got their fan bases now, but you just toss them aside so you could have this other random character that you probably could have saved money on, because Karen Fukuhara knows how to fight, I'm pretty sure, from The Boys. So why not just have the Hornet be the Hornet, you know? Like, actually have your Japanese cast played like Japanese characters that are relevant to the novel, rather than just tossing them aside, like getting slapped across the face and having half their brains splattered on the wall. You know, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, Zazie Beetz is in Deadpool 2, so I guess she has a connection with David Leitch. I feel like a lot of the people in this film, it felt like they were doing a favor for a friend. Did you get that feeling? Like,
it did feel a bit like that.
It was shot in 2020, but like, I don't know. I feel like they could have done better. I feel like the making of this movie just gives Hollywood more excuses to get smaller Asian products or popular bits of media and then just watering them down. And because they don't have built-in fan bases, they can just do whatever they want with them. And then like people just eat it up. And it's like, oh yeah, cool. And it's just like, you know, like I'm not the most PC person. Like, you know, I've said my fair share of shit off this podcast. But like,
and on.
I and on.
Resident Evil episode last week.
But I am definitely a big advocate for like having, you know, organic Asian characters in a film where it makes sense, and I want to see more of it, you know. So like, you've got this big budget project where you could probably see like a big budget like Takashi Mika movie, or like to see like, you know, a gritty Japanese noir like with a big budget and have like a big shootout, you know. But like you've just kind of taken that away from people. And I'm sure like the author doesn't care, and I'm sure a lot of Japanese people probably won't care, but I think just me personally, just from a lot of the media that I like to enjoy, and I think a lot of people should have the chance to enjoy, and Bullet Train was an opportunity for that to be seen, but then it's just like, nah, it's not a Japanese movie, but I know some people will call it a Japanese movie because
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I haven't read the book, so I have no attachment to it whatsoever. But yeah, I think as a standalone film, I'm going to say it was definitely at the very least fun. And you mentioned that you don't exactly like the idea of Hollywood taking these I guess like Asian pop culture, I guess, like
When I see that
artifacts.
Kimi no Na wa remake, I'm gonna fucking puke my brains out.
But what if
you
it's
will watch
good? But what if it's good? You know what I mean? You mentioned you mentioned The Departed before. You mentioned the Departed before, and you said you actually like it better than Infernal Affairs. And that's because I guess Infernal Affairs was really good, right? And then Hollywood kind of improved on it. Whereas is the Japanese Bullet Train novel actually good? Like I know that you guys read it because of the movie, but if you had read it standalone and not had with no attachment to the fact that it was becoming a movie, would you have said, "Oh, this needs to be adapted," or "This needs to be made into a movie"?
I would have been like, an anime would have been cool.
I would. Well, I mean, I feel like I've seen an anime that's very similar to this. It's fine. Like, I would recommend it to people that like this kind of book.
Sure.
And if I heard that it was being adapted to a movie, I'd be pretty excited. Like,
I'll be excited, and then it's like, oh, everybody is just like white and black and Latino.
because I mean, it is also a fun concept, like in and of itself. Like all the philosophy aside, that's in the book. Just the concept of like this world of assassins ending up on a train together and like farcical situation happening, you know, that's like, something that you would want to watch, I think. I think the movie delivers on that, and probably only that. The plot alone. Yeah.
No, yeah. It's an interesting. It might be a topic for another day, but really, like, there's been so many adaptations of Asian films in Hollywood, and it's really been a super mixed bag, right, over the years between really good ones and really bad ones. You can even take something like Old Boy, for example, which is, I guess, one of the best movies, widely regarded as one of the better movies of all time, right? And
Josh Brolin did a great job.
And like he adapted to Hollywood, and I think it's pretty universally panned, and I think universally like hated. So whereas you get a movie like The Departed, which is the complete flip side of that, right? And I don't know, like I don't know what it is that is the difference, right? Like between The Departed and Old Boy. I'm sure if we watched both in consecutively, we could probably pick a bunch of stuff. But just off the top of my head, I can't really.
I don't remember anything from the Western remake of Old Boy. I have zero recollection of that film.
I was watching a YouTuber break down the American version, and like one of the big things, and I didn't even notice this when I was watching the American remake. It is definitely just a watering down of the themes. Like, in a nutshell, Odesu's journey is purely through vengeance. That is what is driving him. It's vengeance. Whereas in the American remake, it's like his love for his daughter is what is driving him more so. I'm not going to get into that because that's like, it's YMS. He's a pretty prolific YouTuber, and he's broken it down. He's on a really detailed video, so
I think that
wants to check that out. Yeah.
That's probably the Hollywood go-to is watering down the themes in the film.
But that's just shit.
Which I think, it's like underestimating your audience.
Yeah. You know, feel a little bit bad when someone dies on screen. It's not just a laugh. It's just, it's Marvel.
The same kind of thing happened with the Ghost in the Shell movie. It's kind of like I feel like they are kind of like underestimating their audience a bit here, because you don't really need to water it down. I think, a Western audience would get, and, a lot of them have watched the Korean Old Boy movie and the
definitely
Japanese Ghost in the Shell films. So like,
it would be those American audiences that have brought it to an international recognition, They can handle that shit.
No,
but I think it's just a few executive heads who just think everybody is just like, just like a dull person that needs everything explained. They basically, an executive thinks everyone is that person in the cinema who's like, did that person just die? Did that person just get into a car?
I actually think this is a bit of a this is a bit of a theme in TV and movies at the moment. Not actually killing off key characters and keeping them alive when you think they probably should be dead. But I've seen it in a few, I guess, big budget TV shows lately, not to mention names, Stranger Things, but I feel like they're just producers are just afraid to kill off key characters nowadays. Not sure why, but maybe, I don't know. Yeah, it's just something that I've definitely noticed.
And like, I think it's refreshing when a TV show establishes that they aren't afraid to kill off characters. I think that's why Game of Thrones was so popular when it first came out,
they made it a fetish. Look next week how your favorite character gets killed.
They went too far.
They went too far. And then The Walking Dead was like, oh wow, we'll kill all of our characters now.
I think now thinking about it, people actually really like that shock aspect of killing off, key characters. Yeah, so I'm not sure why producers nowadays kind of feel the need to not do it.
I think it's just being safe, right? It's hedging their bets.
Like
it's a very Disney. It's a very Disney kind of way to go about it, isn't it?
Because they're trying to make these movies for everyone, even though Bullet Train's not a Disney movie, but it's definitely like made to be a crowd pleaser. So. It is a violent film, most definitely, but they've still done it in a way where you can include everyone, and it's like it's not offensive. Like this movie is not offensive at all.
No,
like I dare say this is like a gateway movie for teenagers who want to watch MA or R-rated films. Like this is your stepping stone, because I don't think this movie was particularly violent either.
I don't remember any like shockingly violent scenes at all. Yeah, no.
Well, when Zazie Beetz gets stung by the needle and like she's bleeding out of her eye sockets.
Yeah.
Fairly violent, but that's probably
like so over the top that it's like almost like comedic / non-believable.
But it's not supposed to be that comedic. Never mind. The book it was kind of shocking when he killed her in the book, because it's like, oh fuck, and he kind of feels bad, but like. Brad Pitt's kind of making fun of her. It's like, oh, that's bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And she's just like dying.
Yeah, it's interesting because like you guys went on that, I guess, like tangent about the conductor and Karen Fukuhara's character not being utilized, I guess, like the way that they probably should have, considering the novel. But me being someone who hasn't read the novel, like I felt nothing for those characters. You know what I mean? Like they were almost
they're not characters. They're cameos.
Yeah, right? but the point is that like it doesn't really matter. Like to the 99% who probably go into this movie and haven't read the book, right?
Yeah, and I think that's fitting with the movie's tone as well. Like I don't think they especially want you to feel for the Hornet when she gets killed, because like it's got to keep moving, Whereas the book can take a bit more time to establish characters and set a tone where you actually feel for the characters' deaths. Like
I feel like you should feel. It's always better to feel something than nothing, right? Like you can always take a step back. Like you don't have to keep moving things forward at such a pace, even though maybe like because I come from a. Like, I know filmmaking, but like my writing style and storytelling style is different.
Yeah, I mean, you prefer 3-hour films.
Yeah, but like this movie is definitely very like there's a really popular screenwriting book called Save the Cat, and it basically just gives you the steps, like put whatever plot point here, and it's just like it's really like formulaic, and It's actually it's a good book, but like a lot of people have accused it for kind of putting Hollywood into a formula where it's just like everything's really predictable. Because like at the end of the movie where Michael Shannon's like, I actually planned all of this. Here's my exposition. And then Joey Prince is the daughter, like, oh my God, Dad. And like, it's just lame. Like whereas like in the novel, it's kind of more like an accident, and Minegishi, who's basically the White Death, in the novel, even though it should be the other way around anyway. The way he is dispatched in the novel is actually very easily, which is kind of funny because they've built him up as this guy who can just get shit done and like anyone you love killed like in a blink of an eye. But then he's just poisoned because like he sees his dead son and is like, oh shit, and then like, you know, he has that human element to him and now he's dead.
Yeah. I didn't.
But like, yeah, then Michael Shannon's like, oh, I actually hated my son, which is just dumb because like, you know, like in the novel, he loves his son. Like his son was a fuck up, but he still loved him and he still looked after him. It's like, well, actually, I wanted my son to die because he's a piece of shit. And then I put Tangerine and Lemon there on purpose because da-da-da-da. In the novel, it's just like, I hide them because they were there available for the job. So it kind of, the world seems a bit more organic and fitting, whereas like the movies world is a lot more contrived, I think.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, like, clearly both you and I, Tavi, we didn't think it was the best movie of 2022, but I feel like the reasons why the reasons why we didn't like the movie are kind of not really aligned.
They're very different,
yeah. Like I think watching the movie, there was kind of heaps of elements which I felt just lacked impact. Whereas for you, I think most of your gripes come from the fact that you've read the novel and they didn't quite nail the themes that you perhaps resonated with while reading the novel. So yeah, I get it's weird, right? Like I think as a non like novel reader, I haven't read the novel. Like I just felt none of the characters really were developed well enough. Like it felt like the stakes weren't really that high for any of them, which made me struggle to kind of, resonate with them, to be honest.
I reckon in the movie, if you're going to make the prince and Kimura like that, I would just say just get rid of them then if you weren't going to, because they're very inconsequential to the, like the only reason they're there is so Hiroyuki Sanada can come and then like he can just get them together, even though Brad Pitt has killed, you know, Lemon's brother, his half brother. He's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, and then Hiroyuki Sanada's like, nah, don't. And he's like, all right. You know?
I don't know about that. I think they drive a lot of the plot. I feel like the roles that they play in the film, you know, keep the story going. Like plot wise, it follows the book pretty closely. It's just that all the themes are kind of watered down, and like especially the third act takes like a more actiony turn, which I think again is more fitting for this kind of film than what would have happened in the novel. I don't know. It's fine, I think.
I think I was saying to you,
I'm not going to watch it again, but you know,
like I think my quote after watching it to you, Tavi, was like it felt like a diet Guy Ritchie Tarantino like mashup. Which I'm not sure if like I still believe that, but all those Tarantino-esque and Guy Ritchie-esque tropes didn't really hit for me. I mean, like maybe it felt more like a Robert Rodriguez movie.
I love Robert Rodriguez.
It felt more like a Robert Rodriguez movie, right, than a Tarantino or Guy Ritchie movie.
But that's the thing. Like you mentioned Ritchie and Tarantino. Those guys have added personality to their movie, and those movies are about something. I feel like Bullet Train has just borrowed those aesthetics, but there's not much personality. It's just like, that's pretty cool. Like people like that. Let's just put it in there. And like it's with watering it down so much. This movie is not about anything. Like it's just assassins on a train. It's not about, you know, the grey morals that assassins walk or killers walk. You know, or about like why people are so evil. It's just
like David Leitch. I mean, he's not Tarantino and he's not Guy Ritchie. You know, he's the guy that made Deadpool 2, and I think this film like kind of encapsulates that movie more than anything. It's like it's like quippy. It's got,
Yeah.
fun action. It's not going to make you think very hard.
Yeah.
But, and like, it's not really about anything, right? Like Deadpool 2 wasn't really about anything either.
So that's the thing. Like when I watched the Deadpool movies, I really enjoyed them in the cinema. But then when I would watch them again, it's like it's the definition of a theme park ride. Like if you go on it again, it's just like you kind of know, what's gonna come out at you and what like, and that's fine. But it's just like it doesn't. I mean, for people that really love Deadpool, like I'm sure that they'd rewatch it again and again.
I think the strength of that movie is the character of Deadpool, which this movie doesn't really have. Right?
Yeah. I mean, now that I think about it, this is really stupid, but imagine if Tarantino remade the novel, it would actually be The Hateful Eight. You know what I mean?
You've seen that. If you listen to our Spies episode,
I haven't.
There's that.
Sorry.
That's all right. There's that the Kim Ji-won movie.
Yeah.
What was that called again?
Age of Shadows.
Age of Shadows, shit, yeah. Awesome movie.
Okay.
I forgot the title of it. But there's a really awesome scene on a train where it very much feels like a Tarantino standoff. And I would love to see like almost like a 2-hour version of that on this train, just like the Hateful Eight. Like that'd be sick.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Like,
they're stuck in a cabin, right? And like they're all bounty hunters / assassins. But like it does not feel in any way, shape, or form like Bullet Train. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, but that's I feel like that's almost the difference, right? Like you can't have this kind of movie in that type of setting almost. Yeah, but I don't know. That's
I guess like just go watch Snowpiercer, I suppose. That's a
good movie.
That's a fucking awesome movie.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, but
Man,
that's all,
I can list a lot of train movies that are better than Bullet Train.
Like,
But Snowpiercer is also
Snowpiercer's-
really far-fetched, isn't it? In terms of like what it's about and like the plot, but it somehow manages to work.
Snowpiercer's a really fun movie though, but there's a
super
message
fun.
to it.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
like
yeah.
a lot of people who probably would have seen the trailer for that, it's like, oh, I didn't expect this kind of messaging. In there, you know?
Whereas
And, like, there you go,
Bullet Train is exactly what we expected, but worse.
Yeah, I think it's for different audiences. I feel like Bullet Train is for people that are going to watch Hobbs and Shaw. Those kinds of movies, there's nothing wrong with those kinds of movies. Like if you enjoy them, that's great, and you'll probably enjoy Bullet Train as well.
Yeah.
Like I'm fine with those movies as well. Like, but I wouldn't rewatch them, and I wouldn't think about them afterwards. So if you're looking for a movie that's going to make you think, probably this is not the one for you.
It's not.
Says the guy who's watched Who Am I like 10 times, probably 100 times.
It's different, Boone.
Yeah, I know. I'm fucking with you. I've watched it 100 times too.
But like,
They don't make movies like that anymore. Don't even get me started.
they don't. Yeah.
They really don't. They really don't.
I think we can leave it at that, right, guys?
Yeah,
Anything more
yeah.
to say about Bullet Train?
You go first, Tavi. You go first.
Nah, probably, but like, we should probably end it here. It's just like, I mean, as a movie, it's extremely average, and I'm never gonna watch this movie again. But like, as someone who has read the novel and someone who does have an interest in telling these stories that feature like a lot of Asian characters, it'd be fun to watch like a Japanese director or someone who has like the vision for it, but given like a bigger budget. Like that'd be awesome to see. Like the Kenshin movies, for example.
Yeah, and it's
pretty
kind
sure
of
they
a
have big
shame
budget,
because this concept doesn't really require a big budget.
No, not really.
Especially if they have access to like a bunch of train cars, which they do in Japan. Like you can hire them out for filming. Well, probably not Shinkansen train cars, but like just generic train cars. So
I
like,
mean-
No one's gonna know. I mean, they obviously
Yeah.
didn't do it for this movie.
You can just do it. You can do it anywhere. It doesn't need to be a freaking Shinkansen. As I said, like I feel like if somebody else adapted this movie, it probably wouldn't be set in Japan. It'd be set on some other train, and it'd probably be better. Yeah.
Like
so,
I'm definitely in the like this movie has not been critically well received, but like I think a lot of critics will probably unfairly criticize this movie just because of the whitewashing, and that is a big issue of mine. But I'm concerned about my criticism is because I know, like, I mean, I'm not Japanese, but like I've spent a fair bit of time there, spent a fair bit of time, watching media, and like, reading their books and whatnot. So I think it's not just the whitewashing of the characters; it's of the themes. Like there's a chance for like a big budget to throw in and make something that's a bit different. I mean, look at Fight Club back in the day. That's a studio throwing a lot of money at the time onto an indie art house picture, and that's like a cult classic.
yeah, Brad Pitt. Why don't you just make Fight Club again?
Fuck, Brad Pitt's in that movie. There you go.
Fight Club 2, man. Fight Club 2.
We all want it, Brad. Do it.
So there you go. Like this could have been another Fight Club, where there's like a set of interesting characters, a set of interesting morals, and maybe an interesting vision. But I think it's just taking what is like a great source material and just not really paying it any dues.
Yeah.
It's just like a
If-
watered down
if
mess, which makes me
If you guys
dislike
watched
it more.
Bullet Train and were hoping for more philosophy, first read the book, but then also I would recommend that anime I mentioned before, Bakano. I think that's like a really good representation of what this book could have been. Probably with a bit more like, because that's like 25 episodes or something, like maybe 12 episodes, 20-minute episodes. So it's a bit
It's not
longer
that
than
long,
a film. But still, not that long. So they have a bit more time for philosophy. And because it's an anime, it's okay with those extreme tonal shifts of extreme violence and then like cutesy elements or deep philosophy. So yeah, treat yourself, watch that.
But I don't think most people going into Bullet Train want that.
No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't.
They wouldn't want
The
that.
way this film was marketed.
I didn't want it.
Yeah.
I didn't go in wanting like, I don't know, deep adult themes and like, I don't know, overly sentimental, I guess, character development and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, as you guys have already mentioned, it just didn't really build the characters up at all.
But sometimes don't you want to be like pleasantly surprised? Because when I mean, back to Snowpiercer, I just wanted to watch like an action film. I didn't even know who. I didn't even really have a concept of Bong Joon-ho back then. I just saw Snowpiercer looks cool.
But they went all in with Snowpiercer though, with the themes, right? Snowpiercer wasn't I don't even think of it as an action movie. I think of Snowpiercer as like an art house kind of like like I don't know, it's like a dystopian movie essentially, right? With really deep themes. Whereas like I went to this thinking it was going to be a fun action movie, and it was a really mediocre fun action movie. So
how did you feel when you watched them Drive for the first time?
Ooh, yeah, Drive was different because I think like I think I knew Drive was going to be kind of like quite highbrow, and I didn't think it was going to be an action movie. Like I don't know, maybe because
it was marketed pretty weirdly. I think a lot of people
as an action movie.
Yeah, I think a lot of people went in expecting a Fast and Furious movie.
I also saw Drive like a few months after it came out. I didn't see it at the cinemas or anything, so I'd already heard that it was really good. And yeah, I mean, like Ryan Gosling doesn't really do a bad movie, does he?
Trying to think. Give me a minute.
Still waiting for Barbie.
We watched one pretty recently. Grey Man was pretty mediocre.
Grey Man. Okay, I take that back. Grey Man hit in a very similar way to Bullet Train.
Would you watch Bullet Train or Grey Man? If you had a choice between the two?
I like Grey Man.
Grey Man. I think Grey Man. I prefer Grey Man. Yeah.
Nah, Bullet Train. 100% Bullet Train.
Grey Man was more fun. than Bullet Train.
Ew.
They're both equally
Agree
stupid.
to disagree.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's the same shit though. Like the villain's motivation in
I
Grey
haven't
Man.
read the novel for Grey Man though. I wonder
Yeah,
what it's
but-
like.
It doesn't matter. Like I don't give a shit about Chris Evans's character in Grey Man. Like I don't give a shit about any of the characters in Bullet Train. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like I don't know. I didn't really even know what Chris Evans's motivation was in Grey Man. He just was just
I
like
don't
this
remember
evil
his
guy.
name. He's got a mustache.
Yeah.
He's got a mustache.
He was just this
But
evil
yeah,
guy.
similar,
and
it's similar. It is just that brand of like action with quips, right?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like quips with
Yeah.
action. I don't know, like whichever one you prioritize in your movie. But yeah,
Too many quips. Stop adding so much. Stop adding so much. Is it bathos to your movie?
yeah.
Just like let an emotional moment be an emotional moment.
Yeah,
It's like-
yeah. I
And
mean,
let your humor not be quips as well. I would say, like,
Yeah.
your humor doesn't have to be quips. It can be just punchy moments. Like, you don't need a little comment to emphasize a funny moment. Sometimes
Like
a funny moment is just a funny moment.
like in the Raid movies, man. We're like, like they're awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
Best comedy.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I'd struggle to recommend Bullet Train even if it was on Netflix or like on a streaming service. Like, because out of fear that whoever I recommend it to would be like, "This is kind of shit." Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it is what it
It's a
is.
background movie.
Yeah, it is. It was.
It's a background.
It's a high budget movie that didn't hit, and it's not the first, and it sure won't be the last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't wait for the Kimura no remake. If that movie is good, I'll like eat my own teeth.
It might be
I
good,
hope they
man.
cast Brad Pitt as the lead.
Brad Pitt and Sandra Bullock.
They got chemistry, man. They got chemistry.
It's true. It's true.
Nah,
Just get Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone, done. You don't need to cast anybody else.
Cinema dynamite.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
it's
done,
true.
man. It's done.
it is Cinema Dynamite. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I think we can leave it there, right, guys?
God, off the rails.
Can't wait for Bullet Train 2.
No, but in fairness, I am
Tangerine
probably,
just burst for the ashes.
I am probably going to read Isaka's other book, Three
Oh,
Assassins.
cool.
Which
Yeah,
is a
sounds
prequel to
cool.
Bullet Train. It's based off a secondary character from Bullet Train, and it tells
that's
his
cool.
story. A character that
Yeah.
didn't make it into the movie Bullet Train.
Which
So
which
there
character?
might be a Bullet Train
Suzuki,
2.
the element, what's it called? The prep school teacher.
Okay.
tells-
Oh, yeah.
Because he's pretty.
He is in the movie. He's Channing Tatum, right? Isn't it the prep?
Nah, no, it's not. It's not Channing Tatum.
It's Channing Tatum, but like he's
No
just
way.
a joke.
Nah, it's not Channing Tatum, Tommy.
Channing Tatum's the prep school teacher.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. They've casted him already for
So,
that
yeah.
movie. All right. Anyway, guys, how did you feel about Bullet Train? Did you enjoy the film as it was, or did you not like it? Have you read the book? What are your comparisons between the two? You can get in touch with us at twoasianblokes@gmail.com. You can join our Facebook group to be part of the conversation, or you can follow us on Instagram at twoasianblokes to see what we're up to. Thank you very much to Boone for joining us for this episode. Always a
No
pleasure.
worries. Can't wait for.
Thanks again, Boone.
Make sure you invite me back for Bullet Train 2.
Bullet Train 2, the revenge of Michael Shannon. I will fight him.
You guys need to include some kind of GIF or something, right?
Nah, people know what we're
yeah.
talking about.
I don't think they do.
People will get that,
think they
that
do.
reference.
I don't think they
Do you
do.
think people think
surprised
that
what
that line is funny? Yeah,
People have no idea what the fuck we're talking about.
You'd be surprised how much of our like humor is just a meme that somebody's already thought of.
Oh, okay, I'll take your word for it.
Anyway,
All right.
guys, take care.
All right. Peace. See ya.
Bye.
So yeah. All right. I was just googling. I will find him.
I'm telling you, nobody knows this reference, and no one gives a shit about Michael Shannon besides us. No one thinks he's such an overactor.
I will find him.
I will find him. I will find him. Man of Steel is criminally underrated. Criminally underrated. I rewatched it and it was so good, man.
I mean, I just googled "I will find him," and the first thing that popped up was Michael Shannon's face.
Really? I'll try it. I'll try it on my algorithm. I don't believe you. I will find him.
You're gonna chug this in, Dan. I still haven't clapped.
Oh my god! It is. It is the first thing that pops up.
I will find him.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm watching it. I'm gonna watch it.
Wait. I gotta clap. Stop watching it for a second.
I'm watching this. I'm watching this shit. What? It's 4 minutes. This clip's 4 minutes. I'll go to the punchline. I don't find him. Oh, here we go.
Fill your hands, but you damn us to a black hole for eternity. Your real was right. You're a pack of fools, every last one of you. And you.
Here we go.
Your son is safe. I will find him. I will reclaim what you have taken from us. I will find him. I will find him, Laura. I will find him!
Alright, that's enough.
That's there you go. Bonus shit for our listeners. This is what a real conversation between us is. Anyway. Alright.
The clap.
Goodbye, everyone. Okay, I'm gonna do the class now.